Dark Side of the Ring, Collision in Korea, comments, commentary, analysis, thoughts, feelings, and all that good stuff. It's your buddy Mike Messier. So Dark Side of the Ring is something that the wrestling fans like myself have been watching, we've been enjoying, and so a commenter, a subscriber hopefully, here on the Mike Messier, subscribed to Mike Messier YouTube channel, said, Mike, can you please analyze all these episodes? And I said, sure. So I'm going to be analyzing the episodes as they move forward and do some retro episodes for seasons past. And so now we're taking a look at the collision in Korea. This story was well chronicled. CONRAD THOMPSON and Eric Bischoff, 83 Weeks, did an episode on collision in Korea. And they did a nice job with it for long-form podcast stuff. Now, obviously, with the visuals and with the presentation that they can do on Vice, they're 44 minutes, usually 44.5-minute documentaries. They can do a lot more with music and with all those things. And I think it's an effective episode. So there's two things here with, my analysis. It's always going to be the story itself, what I think of the story, and what I think of the mini film documentary. I think of them as little mini movies, to be honest. We say it's a series. Dark Side of the Ring is a series. It is a series, but in reality, it's like each episode, for the most part, is self-contained. And I did listen to these guys talk to CONRAD THOMPSON, and they said that even with the musical score on this particular episode, they want to do something Alfred Hitchcockian or Twilight Zonian and so forth. So I thought they accomplished that. I did like the episode. I think that Eric Bischoff telling the story of him waking up early in the morning and just thinking like he could do whatever he wants and go for a jog. And he goes out for a jog and the streets are clear. And then at a certain point, everybody's coming out, the citizens, and they're terrified of Eric Bischoff running around in this 1994 jumpsuit, just terrified these people. Here's what I'm going to get into something. It's going to be a little bit different, and I think we'll go into the vehicle because I just feel like this is an intimate topic, and I don't want to be interrupted. There's people out here that are recognizing me. People that are saying, Mike, is that Mike Messier from Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel? Is he doing one of his world-famous Pro Wrestling Rants or analysis? And I don't want us to be interrupted by the fan base here. So going into the vehicle to continue this conversation, or carversation as I like to call it, here's the thing. The thing watching this episode, I believe it was Scott Norton telling how these fans were forced to go see this event, and that they weren't really enjoying themselves, for this 2-night event until the final match. I believe it was the final match of both nights, the Flair versus Antonio Inoki match, Ric Flair versus Antonio Inoki. And through the fact that Antonio had that connection to the people, through his trainer, Rico Dozan, and so forth, and the fans finally, after 2 nights of watching pro wrestling, it was finally clicking in what exactly they were seeing and experiencing. And, to give the fans credit, if they had never been exposed, the North Korean citizens I'm talking about, if they had never been exposed to professional wrestling, if they weren't used to this live type of entertainment, all these things were so unusual for them that it was like looking at a painting that you don't recognize the colors. I mean, can you imagine that? Or there's this, I don't know if you ever heard this story, if this is complete BS, but supposedly when the Native Americans were here in our country, if you would, and these ships were coming onto their land, I guess it was the Nina, Mina? Who are those ships? The Nina, the Mina, and the Pinta Maria? Like, they used to rhyme, but what was the second one? The Nina, the Maria, and I guess I'm losing my mind, but it wasn't like the Pinta Maria, the third one. But the Native Americans are seeing these ships, with people coming on to their land, and supposedly that the Native Americans couldn't see the ships. because they had never seen a ship before. They never seen, well, let's put it this way, a non-ship like their own ships. You know what I mean? I almost said like an American ship, but they were the Americans. You know, they were the original Americans, but they couldn't recognize these English fucking shits coming in, the ships, or is it English or Spanish or wherever the fuck they were from, but they couldn't recognize them, is the point of these Mayflower ships or whatever the fuck. So they're basically just looking at these ships and seeing nothing. And that's kind of how the North Korean folks were seeing this WCW hybrid Japanese wrestling shows with Road Warrior Hawk yelling at them and Too Cold Scorpio. They're looking at it, but they don't know what they're looking at, you know? And so finally, after 2 nights of education, like a crash course into this wrestling, they started to get it and started to pick up their claps and cheers for Inoki against Flair, which is exciting. And they got into it. And so I think it was Scott Norton on the show. Hold on. Oh, nice. Scott Norton's, oh, I feel so much better. Scott Norton's, oh, jeez, I just had a great neck crack. Really just loosened me up. Oh, my God. But Scott Norton was basically saying that the fans were finally getting into it, and even though they were forced to be there, the people there were living such mundane, miserable lives that maybe this was like the first time they smiled, you know, for a while. And so, you know, we always like to judge, I'm going to say we as Americans, or we in the Western world, or whatever you want to call it. We like to judge, and we like to think that these people are so miserable, and maybe they are. Who the fuck knows? But, you know, it's just one of those deals. But here's the thing. This is what triggered me. What got me to this? Well, all of that got me here. This stuff, this collision in Korea from 1994, made me, it was 94 or early 95, but it made me contemplate the whole Saudi Arabia thing. And when I say the Saudi Arabia thing, for those that don't know, the WWE, I believe, has done 5 or 6 shows, I think, since 2017. They initially were doing some compromises that I didn't agree with, compromising the women not being allowed to be on those shows at all. And the first couple of shows were just men. And also compromising, apparently, some of the booking, like booking this Greatest Royal Rumble. And what we heard over here was that the Saudi Arabian prince wanted Yokozuna to be in it, wanted Ultimate Warrior to be in it. Unfortunately for everyone, those guys can't be booked because they're dead. So they got these like guys that kind of looked like them, like, well, just at least in Yokozuna's case, they got a big fat guy. And, but I guess the wrestlers get these huge payoffs for the Saudi Arabia show. And folks, I'm telling you, when some of these WWE wrestlers that appeared on these Saudi Arabian shows start to get released, which they have been, we're going to see a whole new generation of shoot interviews where we find out some real stories about these Saudi Arabian shows. But here's the thing. Although we can say that the collision in Korea, WCW, Eric Bischoff, Inoki, everybody was used, all the talents were used as a political pawn to further propagate the North Korean thinking model or whatever. Did those people, the audience members, not the government, did the audience have a good time? Did they see things they never seen before? Big muscular guys beating each other up, story being told in that ring. Did they have a glimmer of hope in their lives? I think so. These Saudi Arabian people, from what we understand, were already exposed to WWE wrestling. And yes, there's a lot of sacrifice made by the people, a lot of sacrifice made by the WWE talent and so forth. But are they doing a greater good thing? Are they doing something for the greater good? And the answer would probably be yes. You know, the greater good being that some Saudi Arabian people who had never experienced WWE before are experiencing it. Now, does that equate to the sacrifice of values of the women not initially being allowed to compete, Sami Zayn not being welcome on these shows, who was it, Aleister Black, because of his female demon tattoo not being welcome. Does that all equate and balance out? I don't know the answer. I really don't. You know, I think that's up for everyone to figure out, or maybe we never figure it out. You know what I mean? So that's the take. Makes me think. It's a good dark side of the ring. As far as the collision in Korea in the first place and it being there, I don't know what to say. I think Bischoff did it because he wanted that worldwide exposure. Inoki was doing it because he wanted to be this world peacemaker. It's interesting to hear Muhammad Ali's there. So there you have it. That's my take on Dark Side of the Ring. I've been a tinge distracted. There's some outside shenanigans going on. But if you watch the beach wrestling tapes on the Mike Messier YouTube channel today, you'll see that there's more releases. We're going to have a good weekend. It's Friday. And you'll be seeing some more stuff. Mike's Disney Adventures coming up. And all types of good things. Doing a tape, buddy. You want to say hello? Do you want to say hello to the Mike Messier audience? All right, go ahead, buddy. Say whatever you want.
Extreme
Jesus.
with Mike Messier.
Okay. That was good. Thanks, buddy.